How does this guy recruit this guy? Oda has continued to surprise us every week with new and shocking developments that you sometimes really can't see coming. Props to all the YouTubers that said Mihawk joined Buggy, because I really was expecting him to find his buddy Shanks and join him. Or maybe they aren't buddies. Nah, they're friends. But despite the nonsense that is Buggy, what chapter 1056 of One Piece confirmed is how Buggy became a Yonko. He somehow managed to recruit a genius in Crocodile and a pseudo-Yonko in Mihawk. I'm the Blank Face, and today we're going to talk about the Yonko hidden in the waves, Mihawk. So, if you liked the video, drop a like, subscribe below, and hit that noti bell for more anime content, because why not? Okay, I think it's time we put respect on Mihawk's name. The truth is, if Mihawk and Kaido were to fight, the strongest creature versus the strongest swordsman, Kaido should be prepared to lose a limb. Now, I understand speaking on Mihawk's strength is kind of hard to do because he has virtually zero feats. His strength is based solely on portrayal, which isn't the best measure of ability as there's nothing to truly go on. But in this video, I'm going to attempt to answer the question of Mihawk's power and why this power catapulted Buggy into Yonko status. So I believe there are two ideas in One Piece that give us a clue to Mihawk's strength: his Black Blade and his relationship to Shanks and Zorro. Yes, Zorro is a great way to scale Mihawk's strength. Now, I know some people are asking, what about his swordsmanship? And I say, what about it? But really, since the time skip, Oda has not placed a major focus on swordsmanship. Even Wano Kuni, which is the land of the samurai, and you'd think would be the place where you would learn a ton about the swords and swordsmanship, only added a bit of information on the topic. I'm starting to think Oda is saving all of the swordsmanship and all that lore for Mihawk. But when we look at swordsmanship, like, how many characters can cut a ship or a large object in half with no problem at all since the time skip? The answer is a lot. It was a much bigger deal cutting ships and cutting large buildings and rocks and boulders before the time skip, but now I don't know if there's a swordsman who can't do that. Now, I'm not saying swordsmanship is dead, just that it's not the focus right now. That being said, what has come out of the time skip was the reality that hockey and swordsmanship are not separate paths, and that superior hockey is the only way to become a superior swordsman. So first, let's talk about Mihawk's Black Blade, or more so his hockey, because we know according to Gukimaru that a sword can turn black after countless battles and become known as a Black Blade. We know that Black Blades are stronger than ordinary swords and they have a higher level of resilience. And we know hockey is necessary to turn a blade black, most likely armament hockey, since Black Blades have the same coloration as weapons that are imbued with armament hockey. But what we don't know is if Conquerors Hockey is needed as well. However, Oda does seem to be leaning towards Conquerors Hockey being part of that transition. Otherwise, Zorro wouldn't need Conquerors Hockey from a narrative perspective. We have to remember that Luffy's expertise is Conquerors Hockey and Zorro's expertise is armament hockey. And Oda would have just introduced some other armament ability to answer that question in relationship to the Black Blades. But he instead gave Zorro Conquerors Hockey. And Luffy learned a new form of armament hockey. Now, to get back to the point, I want to talk about Mihawk's hockey. And I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about his observational armament. I want to talk about the hockey that I'm certain Mihawk has, and that is Conqueror's Hockey. It shouldn't be said, but it's pretty obvious that to rise to the top of the One Piece world without a devil fruit, which I don't believe Mihawk has a devil fruit, it requires hockey. Even Kaido admitted that Goldie Roger was able to conquer the seas due to his superior hockey, in particular, his Conqueror's Hockey. And I say it was his Conqueror's Hockey that Kaido was referring to because that's the hockey Luffy needed to defeat Kaido, and it's the hockey Kaido was using when he made the statement. Now, Conquerors Hockey is primarily shown through character. Most are headstrong, most conquerors are proud, they never back down from a fight, and they usually have a leadership role in their crews or in their offices in the case of Sengoku as the fleet admiral. And I will admit, Mihawk seems to be the literal opposite of all of these. Even now, he appears to be subservient to Buggy. This fact of Mihawk's lack of a conquering character is often used against Mihawk to say he doesn't have Conquerors Hockey. But I want to give you a different perspective here. I think that couldn't be further from the truth. Conqueror Hockey users need to have the greatest of ambitions, the goal of earning a significant position, to strive to be the best in the world at something, etc. But of all the Conqueror Hockey users alive in the series to date, not one of them has accomplished their goals or what drives them. All of them except Mihawk. Mihawk is a character who has achieved his goal. He is the world's strongest swordsman. He stands at the top already. There is nothing to push him. He merely looks down at the plebeians waiting for one of them to rise up and challenge him. The man became a Shichibukai because he had no more worthy challengers and wanted to travel freely. Mihawk has been on the top of the One Piece world for so long that he decided to train his own replacement. And that takes me to Zorro and Shanks. But first, let's talk about Shanks because he's Mihawk's friend and rival. Yeah, he is Mihawk's friend. I don't think Mihawk will ever admit that, but Shanks is Mihawk's friend. So Shanks is a Yonko. We know Shanks became a Yonko 6 years ago, and Shanks lost his arm 6 years before that. And Mihawk hadn't fought Shanks since he lost his arm because he believes he's a one-armed has-been. So as far as Mihawk is concerned, Shanks is not as strong as he used to be, or at least he's not as strong as he can potentially become. But the fact that the man who was the only rival to Mihawk became a Yonko is telling. Not to mention that to this day, Mihawk still views himself as superior to Shanks. And no, I don't believe that Shanks possesses a superior haki to Mihawk or that Shanks can defeat Mihawk, because Oda has shown us recently that powerful haki, particularly powerful Conquerors Hockey, is a necessity for the strongest swordsman. You can look at Odin, Shanks, Goldie Roger, and now even Zorro. Zorro is insanely powerful. He's far more powerful than a lot of people give him credit for. I'll do a future video on the strength of Zorro later. But Zorro is a conqueror. He has Conquerors Hockey coding. Zorro scarred Kaido. Think about that. Zorro scarred Kaido. The only person to have scarred Kaido was Odin. So that's a much bigger deal than you think. Kaido saw Odin in Zorro, and no, it wasn't because of Emma. Emma takes the user's haki and unleashes it. There's no evidence that Emma stores haki or that it holds some kind of spirit or something like that. It's the sword that demands the whole of its wielder's haki, and Zorro is the one who stepped up to the plate to unleash that. Zorro defeated a Lunarian, which, yes, King seems underwhelming, but that was because Zorro was so overwhelming. King is strong. He's a descendant of a race that once ruled the One Piece world and whose power must be respected. So the battle between Zorro and King is more a reflection of the power Zorro has gained. Lastly, Zorro is the only known character actively pursuing Mihawk's title, which I think says a lot about Zorro. Now, when you look at the only people Mihawk has ever shown interest in Zorro and in Shanks, we can see that both are skilled swordsmen, both are conquerors, and both are part of the Pirate King's crew, Shanks being the past King, Rogers, and Zorro being the future King, Luffy. It's clear that Mihawk is going to be an in-game fight for Zorro, and that in itself is telling, as Zorro is projected to become even stronger. That being said, Mihawk is one of the most powerful characters in One Piece and easily should be in the top 5 of most ranks. If Zorro, who is Mihawk's student, was able to scar Kaido, then against Mihawk, On a one-on-one, win or lose, Kaido should expect to lose a limb. Why? Because Mihawk is a Yonko. I've been the Blank Face, and I'll see you in the next one.